Hi neurodivergent moms and dads. As a neurodivergent parent with most likely neurodivergent kids, you're going to have things in the month that really worked and things that didn't. In some ways, the ADHD or autism or whatever mental health challenges that are in your family are more under control, more regulated, and in some instances they're not. They're rather triggered and they're kind of out of control and explosive. So every month I'm going to talk about what worked for us this month and what really didn't. So the one thing that really worked this month and I'm really happy about is that we invited our occupational therapist for my son who's ADHD and autistic into his kindergarten, into the school, to have a conversation with the teachers. This was actually a suggestion by the therapist herself. She is highly educated. She's one of the leaders in this space in occupational therapy for autistic kids and teens in this country. So we're very blessed, and she actually asked, would it be possible for me to come to the next parent-teacher conversation or meeting that you have for Sunny? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll definitely ask. And I did. The moment that there was an opportunity, I asked the teacher, and we're really, again, blessed that the kindergarten teachers are also personally very interested in neurodivergence, not only because they're kindergarten teachers and they get every type of kid, but they also have a personal interest in it. There's a special educator who comes twice a week to support the main teachers, and she was also present in this meeting. This was amazing, and I would maybe encourage you also to think about that. Why not connect your therapist with your teacher, with your kids' teachers, because you never know how they can support each other. So for example, the therapist gains so much information from the teachers about how neurodivergence is affecting the classroom, how it's making their job easier or harder, and to see what issues are present not only in the family unit, which we talk to her all the time about, but also in the classroom setting, in the educational institutional setting. And now the teachers have direct access to an expert in the whole country on autistic kids. It's just incredible. I'm so grateful that this connection happened, and I'm excited to see how this will benefit both sides in the future. The next thing that worked this month is I'm trying something new out called low demand parenting. So this is a concept from the book Low Demand Parenting. I picked up this book to learn more about PDA, pathological demand avoidance, which is a huge topic in our family. Not only does my son have it quite strong, but come on, let's face it, I probably have it to a pretty high degree, and that makes it difficult. My son's PDA often clashes against mine. We headbutt, and that's why I'm super interested in this topic right now. Apart from autism in general, neurodivergence in general, PDA is my current special interest, and I stay up until midnight reading PDA books at the moment. And this book is really radical. It presents concepts that are against 99.9% of parenting advice out there. Like, trust me, this is going to rub some people wrong. But the thing is, you are not some people. You're not the majority of people. You are a neurodivergent parent. You have certain traits and conditions that make you different, and you have a kid who is different, and their needs are different. And that means it unavoidable that we are going to have to do things differently. For example, we're going to have to take away restrictions from screen time the way that other families do. Why? Because screens are actually one of the best ways to regulate, to help a PDA autistic child to regulate themselves internally, to regulate their nervous system. The nervous system is the amygdala, the reptile brain, the reptile system, the system that takes care of your heart beating, your stomach digesting, and all of that stuff that you don't have to think about. Unfortunately, for PDA autistic kids, the nervous system takes over them often. This is essentially what's happening in an autistic meltdown also, when you feel like you absolutely lose control of yourself, of your body, of your feelings, of the actions that you're doing, the words or the sounds that are coming out of your mouth. This happens to PDA kids constantly. They're constantly in a fight or flight response mode. So screens help them to regulate, help put their nervous system, this like reptile part of their brain, to rest, so they can kind of come back to being present in the moment again. So this book, Low Demand Parenting, introduces concepts like take away restrictions from screen time, give your kids chocolate for breakfast if that's what they want, as long as the relationship between the parent and the child is a team rather than, I don't know, police and robber. The third thing that worked for us as a neurodivergent family is food. I took the pressure off of myself from dinner. So this month, when things got difficult, when I started to recognize that because I'm autistic and ADHD, I'm using a lot more energy just to get through the day, just to respond to all the stimuli that is coming through my two loud kids sometimes, and all of these things that sometimes at the end of the day I'm absolutely drained. And when my kids are being picky or whatever, I let them have cereal for dinner. This is one of their favorite meals. They love it that they get to have milk and cereal for dinner, and then me and my husband can just have leftovers with a little extra chili sauce to make it interesting or whatever, and then everyone's happy and I'm not stressed or drained. Then I have a bit more energy for the nighttime, the bedtime ritual with the kids, which is actually one of the parts of the day I treasure most. Here's what did not work for me as a neurodivergent mom this month. I had 2 meltdowns, not full autistic meltdowns, probably more on the line of an ADHD meltdown, and 2 of those, and also my sleep has been affected this month. So I'll start with the sleep. There are a couple of nights where I was up until 2 or even 3, and this is not good. Of course, I catch up somehow in the day. I have a short 15-minute power nap after lunch when my body just crashes. The kids play on this like interactive learning pen that they have, or once in a while they can even watch a cartoon in that 15 minutes. I set my timer, I take a power nap on the sofa right next to the kids, and that gets me through the day. Or I'll pass out when I take them to bed, and then I'll wake up around 10 or 11 to finish my bedtime routine and go to sleep. As you guys know, sleep is one of the biggest regulators for ADHD and, well, anybody really. And when this is affected, the whole day has like a knock-on effect. So that's something that I really need to work on. And that also brings me to the topic, autism/ADHD and sleep is a topic that's going to be covered in one of my future videos, and I'll link to that here whenever that's done. Now to my 2 meltdowns. So this comes back to the screen time thing. We had, in my mind, we had set a limit. He's going to have X number of shows of his cartoon show, and then when that was over, we turned off the TV, and he didn't know what to do with the feeling of frustration he had. So, and I was sitting very close to him, so he kind of pushed me. This is the big thing for autistic people, our integrity. This triggered his feeling of it's not fair. And then he went into a huge rage, meltdown, angry at me, and so on. I did learn two things from this, actually. I learned to respect my son's private sphere, like his space, his personal space. It was hard for me to come to this realization that my son does not like to be touched or hugged, even by me, even by his mom. And it wasn't like that when he was little, or maybe it was, but he couldn't really like run away because he couldn't walk yet. But now he really likes his space, and I was sitting too close to him. So not only was the TV now off, he had somebody in his personal space, and his body just reacted against that. So now I've learned, give him his space, respect his needs. That's what we're going to do from now on. And the second thing I learned is the screen time thing, which it is talked about in the book Low Demand Parenting. We're just going to be a bit more relaxed about screen time, and we're going to see what happens. The second meltdown happened because of lack of communication within the family, actually. We were going to go to the science center, and the meltdown was pretty extreme, and I pulled out my camera and I recorded some in the moment stuff, which you can watch here, some small bits from that.
Warning, this might be uncomfortable to watch. The next part is raw and uncut. I have no makeup on and in the middle of an autistic shutdown.
I just had a meltdown, and I am in that state right now when you just try to figure out what the hell happened and get over this feeling of embarrassment and shame. I feel quite ashamed right now. I feel quite embarrassed. And I feel the lost opportunity here. I allowed my husband's poor mood to stop me from going out and doing what I wanted to do. So I don't know what this was. Was it theory of mind? Was it like putting too much importance on him? Was it my expectations? That I thought he really is thinking what I think he's thinking, and that caused me to kind of spiral in my thoughts and blow up at him. And then I wasn't able to stop blowing up at him and kind of shouted at him. And then he's also ADHD and highly sensitive, so he reacted right away. What was going on in the moment when I was in the meltdown? I was going back to my video about spotting meltdowns in your partner. I really could not control myself. Like emotionally, I was not in control of myself. So I was shouting, I was aggressive. And I didn't want to be that way. I did not want to see myself that way, but I was. So just so I remember all the little things that led up to this meltdown. It started a week ago, actually. And again, it came down to two things that really tipped the scale. It was a misunderstanding and miscommunication between me and my husband. Anyway, the two M's, the two evil M's in a partnership. How was your month? I'd love to hear about it. Put a green heart in the comments below if it was rather good, and put a yellow heart if it was on the negative side. And if you want to share, you can tell me the top 3 things that were good that happened and the top 3 things that were not so good. I'd love for us to have this conversation in the comment section.